You hear it all the time, right? Drink more water. It's the key to life. But what if I told you that the very thing that keeps us all alive could, in just the right circumstances, act like a poison? It sounds completely backwards, I know, but it's a very real and very serious danger.
We've all been warned about dehydration. It's drilled into us from a young age. But have you ever stopped to think about the other side of that coin? What is actually going on inside your body when you drink too much water too quickly? And this quote just hits the nail on the head. It's this incredible paradox, isn't it? The one thing essential for all life on Earth can become a genuine threat. So let's unpack exactly how that's even possible. To really get it, we need to dive into the science. And it all boils down to this super delicate chemical balance in our bodies and what happens when that balance gets thrown completely out of whack.
Okay, so the official medical term for this is hyponatremia. If you break it down, hypo means low, and natremia refers to sodium, so low sodium in the blood. It kicks in when your sodium levels dip below a critical point, usually because someone drank a massive amount of water in a really short amount of time.
You know, you can think of your kidneys as these amazing high-tech filters. But just like any filter, they have a limit to how fast they can work. If you start chugging water faster than they can flush it out, that extra water backs up into your bloodstream. And when it does, it starts watering down or diluting all the crucial salts and electrolytes you need to live, especially sodium. On a normal day, your body is in this beautiful state of equilibrium. The fluid inside your cells has about the same concentration of sodium as the fluid outside your cells. It's a perfect balance called osmosis. Water just kind of flows in and out, no drama, everything's in harmony.
But when you suddenly flood your system with pure water, that fluid outside your cells becomes way, way more diluted than the fluid inside. And nature absolutely hates an imbalance like that. So to try and fix it, water comes rushing into your cells to even out the salt concentration. The result? Your cells start to swell up like tiny water balloons.
Now, for most parts of your body, like your muscles or your fat tissue, this is a problem. But it's not an immediate catastrophe because those tissues can stretch a bit. But your brain has a terrifying problem. It's packed tightly inside your skull, which is basically a rock-hard box with zero give. There is no room to expand. And that sets off a truly deadly chain reaction. First, those brain cells swell up. Because they have nowhere to go, the pressure inside the skull skyrockets. This is called cerebral edema. As that pressure builds, it starts crushing the brain, leading to horrible symptoms: headaches, confusion, seizures, coma, and yes, even death.
Now, this isn't just some weird science experiment. It happens to real people. So who are the folks who really need to be aware of this? Who's most at risk?
Well, the list might actually surprise you. It's a huge issue for endurance athletes, like marathon runners, who are constantly told to hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. We see it in military trainees going through brutal exercises. Infants are incredibly vulnerable because their little bodies are so small. And then there are specific cases, like people with a psychiatric condition that causes a compulsion to drink, or even users of drugs like MDMA, which can make you super thirsty while also telling your body to hold onto water. And if you think this is some ultra-rare phenomenon, get this. A study looked at runners in the 2002 Boston Marathon. They found that a full 13% of them, that's more than 1 in 10, had developed some level of hyponatremia by the time they crossed the finish line, not from a lack of water, but from too much.
And the risk to the most vulnerable among us is just heartbreaking. Johns Hopkins has reported that they see 3 or 4 cases of water intoxication in infants every single summer. It's a tragic reminder of how easily their tiny systems can be overwhelmed. So if this happens, the solution is just to stop drinking water and eat some salt, right? Well, it's not that simple. Treating hyponatremia is an incredibly delicate process. In fact, fixing it the wrong way can be just as deadly as the problem itself.
Doctors are basically walking a tightrope here. If the case is acute, meaning it happened really fast and the person has symptoms, they have to act quickly. They use a special high-concentration saline drip to reverse the brain swelling and save the patient's life. But if the condition developed slowly, over days, the brain has had time to adapt. And in that situation, correcting it too fast is a disaster waiting to happen.
And here's why. If you jack up the sodium in the blood too quickly, that whole pendulum swings violently in the opposite direction.
Suddenly, the fluid outside the brain cells becomes way saltier than the fluid inside, and it literally rips the water right back out of those cells. This causes them to shrink and shrivel, leading to a different but equally catastrophic form of permanent brain damage.
Okay, so after hearing all of that scary stuff, what's the right way to do this? How do we stay hydrated without accidentally putting ourselves in the danger zone? Well, the good news is the real answer is actually way simpler than you think. If there is one number to take away from this entire explainer, it's this one right here. A healthy kidney, going at full tilt, can process a maximum of about 0.8 to 1 liter of water per hour. That's it. If you are consistently drinking more than that, you are literally outpacing your body's safety systems.
So, the best advice? Forget those old rules about 8 glasses a day. Just listen to your body. Drink when you feel thirsty. It's an incredibly fine-tuned system. If you're doing some crazy, long-duration exercise, maybe reach for a sports drink with electrolytes to replace that lost sodium. And, just use the common sense check. Look at your urine. Pale yellow is the goal. If it's constantly crystal clear, you might actually be overdoing it.
So, in the end, it's not about forcing down as much water as possible. It's about finding a healthy balance. Your body has this amazing built-in system to tell you exactly what it needs, moment to moment. The real question is, are you actually listening to it, or are you just counting glasses?